Thank
So
you.
this is an intense movie, and it's got a personal. You've got a personal, connection to this. So how long does it take before you experience something like this when you can start to think about making a movie? I mean, how long did that take? What was that process like?
That was very quick because once the flood was over, I was in this depression state, and one NGO came to me and asked me to make a video to give hope to the people, saying that there is still life ahead of you. So I was the one who was in need for that video. I was in the most depressing state. So I started reading newspapers and I watched this news clips because I didn't know that the flood was something which changed people's mind, because I was not watching TV because my house was flooded. I was somewhere else. So after I watched the news clips and everything, I came to know that it was not that difficult time for the people. They were helping each other. I didn't know that, so that was very quick. Maybe after a month, I started writing the script for this film.
You wrote it with somebody, right?
Yes, I wrote this film with my friend who is also a writer there in India, and we sat together and we read these newspapers. And the main point I was giving is like you need to pick up the stories which were not that popular during the flood times. So I managed to pick few stories which was in small column news in the newspapers. So we picked up those stories and we tried to create a fictionalized version of that stories. Everything in the film is real. They happened in real. In fact, the family with the disabled child, that happened in real. In real, only the mother survived in the real life. But I thought I should save them at least in my film.
That's wow. That's incredible. But also the fishermen, though. I mean, I think when I was reading up on this after the movie, I thought that was true. Like all those fishermen came together. Can you talk about learning about that?
Yeah, the first people came to help each other was the fishermen gang. The fishermen people, they used to have this camp experience, staying in schools and colleges around them, because in rainy season they have this flood and everything coming to their home. So they usually try to stay in school campus or something like that. So they are used to it. So they came first and with the boats and everything, and you know how they are in the sea. So they are not afraid of this water. Yeah.
Um, and the thing about the drama that's so interesting is that everybody's used to a certain like a monsoon season, but no one really knows when it's going to get worse than it is. Was that hard to kind of like find out the facts behind that?
Yeah, actually, the flood had happened before in 1929 in Kerala, before I was born, and even my parents were not born that time. So we had this idea about flood, how it came, and I had read in some of the historical thing and everything, but we didn't know that that flood will come again. Like this time, it was very huge because 1929. You can imagine how the infrastructure was there in Kerala, and even in 2018 it came, and it was more powerful than the previous one. And I was watching TV the night the flood came. I was watching TV at my home, seeing that the government was saying there is nothing to worry about. You just be there at home, you're safe, something like that. And I went to sleep. And at night, when I was woke up at like 1:30 a.m., I saw this water coming to my home, and that was scary. And after that, every monsoon season, I used to have this scare, like, will the flood come again? So that's not very nice thing to do.
No. I mean, did you always know you wanted to direct the film yourself, or did you think that might be? Did you worry that it might be too hard to make it yourself?
To be frank, I wanted to make this film before anyone will make it, because I knew that this film has a capacity to go international, because some of the filmmaker might think like okay, I will make this film. So I wanted to make it first in my place. I was in a very passionate mood, so that I didn't mind reliving the life while I was shooting this film, because most of the crew members, they all are survivors of this flood. So we had this experience, and while shooting itself we had this memories of the flood. It was not hard, but I managed to do the filming without any personal feelings. Like I was just watching the film, and yeah, it was all about filmmaking. So this is my fourth film. So I was like, this is the kind of chance any other filmmaker will get in Kerala, because it's a big budget film in our place, but it's not that a big budget film for someone else who is there in Hollywood also, because we made the film in $3 million. That's very huge budget for us, at least. So I was thinking about that part more. Like this film is going to be in huge places like that. So, but again, I never thought that this will come to the Oscars for sure.
So yeah, so you have to make a movie with a kind of a scale, and you have to decide: do I try to do things with effects or do things with real water? Can you talk about how you kind of came to the decision to make it the way you did?
Yeah, to make flood using visual effects is bit hard. Like it's expensive, and the people won't be that convinced when they watch this flood using the visual effects. You know how the budget constraints are there in Indian cinema. So I took the hard part. Like I need to shoot the flood in real. So we built a huge tank there in a place, and we pumped up the water from the nearby river. So it was like having the flood again. So that was very hard to shoot, but it was better than the visual effects thing, because for the visual effects we have to wait until the visual effects guy finishes his job and to judge how the scene came out. But for this purpose, the shooting was very fun. Like I was in the water shooting the film. My cinematographer was in water, and he without any crane, without any dolly or track, nothing. He was just there in the water with some vessels and everything, using as his weapons.
Did you read stories about like how James Cameron makes movies in the water? I mean, like he's made so many movies in the water.
Yeah, I'm his huge fan. Like I have seen his film, and I have seen the behind the scene footages of Titanic and few other movies also. So I have been always passionate to do some kind of things like dangerous to the filmmakers, but I enjoy those things. But one guy asked me like, "Will you do uh, another movie in water?" I said, "Obviously, I will do more movies in water." And I put a notice board saying that if you want some flood films, please contact me. That's
So when you're making this movie and you're recreating these scenes and you have a crew that's familiar with what happened, how do you keep everybody kind of like ready to go and not
Yeah, that was very easier part, because the people who worked in the film, they were like they wanted to do this film, and while shooting the scenes, we had this short division and storyboard thing sticked around us in a board, big board. So after each and every shot, I used to pick the storyboard shot from the wall, and there was this huge clapping going on each and every shot. So it was nice to shoot with the crew who has this passion to complete this film.
Did you shoot in Kerala where it happened?
In Kerala, yeah,
Yeah.
same place we shot. Yeah, it's like the entire Kerala was affected during the flood. So we went to almost all the places where this flood happened. Yes.
What was it like for the community? I mean, first of all, I just want to know how they're doing, and also what was it like for them to watch this movie being made?
Yeah, for the making of this film, we didn't want our the common man coming to the set. So we created a boundaries and everything so that no one will come inside. After the film was shot, when I watched the film in theater for the first day, first show with the real people who was there in the flood, like the pregnant woman who was airlifted, she was crying literally, and she said, "This is what exactly happened when I was there for the airlift," and that feeling was amazing. Like the a stranger woman coming to you and hugging you and saying that you did the right thing, shooting this thing.
Talk about the casting and how you found your actors and why you chose them.
For me, fortunately, everything came in place. Like when I started writing the script, I used to have these faces in my mind saying that this character will be doing by this man, this actor, and they all are individual uh, superstars like in Kerala. So they are doing individual films as heroes. So doing a multi-star film in Kerala is not that easy. But for me, these people all came when I narrated the script to them. Like I said, the characters, and they were interested in those characters because the characters were different given to each and every people. Like the common man who has come up, came from this army background, and one guy, the fisherman guy, then the government employee guy who is stuck in the room doing that. So it was easier to convince them, and everyone was happy with their own part.
Did you want to cast any real people who weren't actors who had never acted before? Or did you only want to use people who had acted?
I have used few people who were in real flood, like the fishermen. Only the front row people who came for the uh, rescue purpose are the actors. The remaining crew, the members who came with the boat, everybody are real fishermen. Yes.
So, what was the hardest day of shooting on the film?
The hardest part was to shoot this helicopter sequences because we had this helicopter model which we made. We hanged up, we hanged that helicopter through using that industrial crane, big crane, 150 feet crane. Then above that we had this propeller and artificial rain setup hanging on, and we have this cameraman hanging there, and this airlifting this girl, this little girl, and there were like all women, all men standing in the rain, artificial rain nights. So that was very difficult to shoot. I used to have this feeling like whenever I see their faces, it was like they were crying literally. They like, please stop the shoot for some time. Then I say, we need to do this. Then he said, yes, let's go for it. Then in one take, I was asking this elder woman to look up properly. Like she was not looking up. She was looking somewhere when the rain was happening. Then I said, please, please, you have to look up. Then she said, I cannot look up. It's heavy rain. Then I said, no, you have to look like this. Then when I looked up, it was like the nails are coming to your eyes. That kind of rain is without with the propeller effect. So I thought, okay, you are saying right thing, but she managed to look up. Yeah.
I mean, shooting in rain, that just looks like one of the hardest things to do. I mean, what's the trick you've learned about how to do that?
For the initial days, the rain team, artificial rain team, whenever I say rain on, they will take another like 10 to 15 minutes to get the proper rain. Like one guy will be giving the rain to some direction and some other will be giving to some other direction. So after some 10 days, I have this idea like I will say rain on even before the shoot starts. I will say rain on like that. Then I will wait for them to have this proper rain. Then I will start the shoot.
Well, so okay, so when you finish making a movie like this, do you feel like you learned something about? I mean, you made this movie because you want to deal with heroism, but what did you learn about heroism by making it?
Yeah, I learned about how a man, like for me, it was the most difficult part of my life, having going through that flood. So to make a hardest time of your life to be the best time of your life, that's a part I learned, because the things can go wrong in any way in your life. Yeah, you'll get more difficulties, and you might think that this is the end of it, but you have to move on, and we can make the negative to the biggest positive thing in your life, because this is the best time I have in my life, because I am here in LA doing promotions for the Oscars for my own movie. So as a filmmaker, this is the wildest dream come true.
Yeah, I mean, can you talk about finding out that the movie had been picked to represent India for the Oscars?
I was shocked. I was, uh, the moment I got a call from a media saying that your film has been selected as an Indian official entry to the Oscars, the word they used, Oscar, I was like, Oscar, you meant Oscar. They said yes, Oscar, Indian official entry to the Oscars. So I was like, oh, this is the tribute to the people who stood together in the flood time. So maybe this thing is to the people of Kerala who has struggled during the flood.
I mean, what's been the reaction in India to the film, and audiences there?
Yeah, the film, like the film starts with some characters, their lives and everything. So the film is basically in Malayalam language, which is our language, which is a very small industry in India. But the film did well in other languages also, like Hindi, Telugu, Tamil, and Kannada. So the movie was dubbed into those languages. So the people loved that movie. I traveled to Mumbai, then Hyderabad. The places were filled with people, and they were crying literally at the end of the movie. And everyone was asking the same question, irrespective of the language and everything. They were asking, "Why did you kill the hero at the end?" And then I said, "That's how the film works."
Well, with that, I'd like to throw it out to the crowd if they have, if anybody has a question.
Yes.
I'm curious, was any of the footage from the real event included in your film?
Was footage from the real
Real.
flood included?
Yes, they were included only in the television shots when they watch the TV. Like the guy who works for the government in a control room, he watches TV, and that's where we use the real flood footages. Rest of the every scenes we shot in real.
There was a hand over here.
Did you shoot the exterior on location stuff during monsoon season or during the dry part?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, that's a good question. We showed it in the dry part, like the in to shoot a movie in monsoon season is not that easy, because the people can't stand the rain throughout the shoot. So only artificial rain were used. So we shot in dry season. Yes. Thank you.
Yes.
It's ironic that you mentioned Jim Cameron. Correct me if I'm wrong, I noticed what I thought might have been two Titanic references. There's a close-up shot of a clock, and then there's a close-up shot of water rushing into the room where people are trapped that reminded me of Titanic. Do you mind talking about Nobin Paul and what your ideas were in wanting the type of music that you wanted for the score? It's really remarkable in a lot of the action scenes. Very exciting.
Thank you so much. Nobin Paul is a music director who has been doing films in Kannada, which is another industry, but he's a Keralite like me, and I saw his film's trailer. There was his film 777 Charlie's. It's about a film about a dog and a man. That's a warm relationship between the dog and this man. And it was an emotional film, and I saw this trailer, and it was very catching, and the emotional hook was very nice. So I called him and I said, "There's this movie. I need to be like the emotions has to be worked out. Your music has to make them cry." Then he was working for that, and we succeeded in that. For the last shot, we went to the sound mixing. So when the photo was revealed of the hero died, and this photo revelation part, so one guy was playing this violin, and I was not satisfied with that score, and I told Nobin that you need to have better one. Then that guy from different place, he sent us through WhatsApp the score, and I was like, no, this is not enough. Then he played it again with some other notes, and it took like 3 4 rounds in the mixing theater. Then finally we got the score correct. Yes, and I do love how Hollywood has been treating music. I'm a huge fan of Hans Zimmer, and I asked him the same. Like, if Hans Zimmer see this movie, he need to say that he copied from me. So I try to get that same same. He used music like his own body. Hans Zimmer used the music like to treat the emotions, be it the big scale, the scene, everything. So I wanted to be like him. So this might be my tribute to the great filmmakers and musicians all around the world.
I think I need. I think I need to know though. Are those Titanic references?
Uh, Unfortunately, I didn't think of that. Yeah, but maybe in my mind it might have come. Like, I have seen these films. I use that reference of water for this some other movies like the Jurassic Park. When the dino is coming, we see water trembling. So maybe I use that purposefully, but not this one. But maybe that was in my mind. Yeah.
Anybody else? Right here.
Oh yeah, there were scenes where you were mentioning about the rising ocean temperatures and everything. Was that event was it a kind of a touch point like for the consensus of people in India or in that area at least that there's a connection between the power of that storm and is what is and the film is that kind of were you hoping to raise awareness or is what's it like in India the climate for that the climate sorry about that about climate change.
It's a question about whether the movie and it's touching on rising ocean temperatures and whether it's become a touch point in India about climate change.
Yeah, most of the people they don't know how this flood came. To be frank, till date they don't know how this flood came, and unfortunately, most of them are not aware of this global warming and everything. Because after this flood came, the next year, 2019, the flood came again, not to the same place but different place, and there are some guys who are still trying to make an awareness about how this flood is coming because of us like the as humans they are trying to build huge buildings near river like demolishing some parts and everything, and this film yes created some awareness not to that extent like the media started discussions about how this flood is coming to this place where this flood is not supposed to come. So in a way, our film is talking that part, the global warming is the reason for this flood, and it can happen to any country, any place, and the people should be aware of this. This disaster is coming towards us. Like there's a quote in the film, in the beginning of the film. Every disaster is a news until it hits us. So it's like anything can happen to anybody in the world in this current scenario of global warming. Yes, and unfortunately, most of the people doesn't know about that. They don't care. At least they just move on with their life. That's the hard part. Yeah.
Do people in Kerala do they feel unprotected right now?
Obviously, yes. Like I said in the beginning, every year when this monsoon season starts, I have this feeling like, will it come? Will it come again? So, and some people have moved out. They have moved some other places, like some higher places. Some guys have rebuilt their homes to higher level. They have taken the house to some other place, something like that. Yeah, they are a bit scared. It might happen again. Yeah.
You showed a shot of a giant tree coming to the dam. Were the dams damaged by this flood?
Were
Yes,
the dams damaged by the tree that gets stuck there?
that 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 tree sequence happened in real. Most of the dams they have this shutter going up to to flow the water. For this dam, this particular dam in Kerala, they had this shutter going down. So in that dam, there was this huge tree coming to the shutter, and it was stuck in the shutter, and it created so many issues. In the dam was like they had to build for 2 years, 2 more years to make it up. That thing happened in real, and they had to bring huge missionaries and people to rebuild that dam again. And for this film, we used that fiber tree, not not a real tree. It was just a fiber tree, and the dam was just a thing made of wood and metal. Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, it was really that was a scary shot to see. Um, well, Jude, all I can say is, I mean, I think maybe the last thing I want to ask you is, you know, what was it like to have your hero die? Was that always something you wanted to do, and was that a tough thing to make work?
Yeah, I have read this news in a very small column saying that one guy lost his life saving a family, and even his name was not mentioned in that news. So I thought that's not fair because one guy lost his life for a family, and you should give some tribute. At least you should give his photo and name. So that day I decided that I will make a tribute to all the people who lost their lives or lost something in the flood and they didn't get noticed in the crowd. So that was very intentional. And the moment I said that you're going to die in this flood to the hero, and he said, I want to be dead and to be loved by the people. So I want to be dead.
Well, all I can say is the movie it makes you understand the title, and I thank you for taking such a personal and sad experience and making it into this film. So congratulations with it.
Thank you so much, Robert. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming here. Thank you.